Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and here at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And today I'm recording with my daughter, Aaliyah.
Hi, everyone.
And we're talking about 5 best practices for successful students. Now, I know not everyone here at Learn, Do, Become has a student in their home. This is kind of put together for parents, but the principles we're talking about today can be applied really to anyone who wants to get more organized. And the goal is for you to be able to lock in these 5 things and then be able to help teach them to the children or the next generation, whoever's in your sphere of influence. That could be
nieces, nephews, neighbors. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're going back to school yourself and you're looking for a couple extra ideas. There's just tons of ways to apply this. So
Aaliyah also has created a Step for Students program. Those of you who are familiar with Learn, Do, Become probably know we have our signature program called Steps to Everyday Productivity. My passion is to help get a command central on every desk, and I'm super excited about it. But Aaliyah has grown up in this system and has actually learned how to tailor it to students. And you want to tell a little bit about your story, and then we'll dive into these 5 things.
Sure. Yeah, I think that my mom really started implementing STEP in our lives when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I was just a generally naturally stressed person.
Responsible,
but also very stressed. I always wanted to have my homework packet finished the second I got it, even though I had a week to turn it in, or I stressed myself out planning big projects because I didn't have great project planning skills yet, and I really wanted to do a good job and get good grades from a young age. But I didn't quite have those tools until my mom helped me to learn those skills. And that really changed my life because I realized I didn't have to go through school always having projects and tasks looming in my mind. I could write them down, or I could have a clear place for them. And that really transitioned well when I got to high school and had more demanding classes, and then college when I had professors throwing, hundreds of different things at me throughout the entire semester. So it's been life-changing to say the least, and that's what I'm really excited to share in this.
And Aaliyah is such a doer, and she's very responsible, and she can accomplish tasks beautifully. But this isn't just, the ideas we're sharing today aren't just for students who are super responsible, because what's been interesting is, we have 4 children, and I think Aaliyah is the one who's most excited about STEP, But what's interesting is all of our children feel some sense of, I got stuff to do. Every child, even the ones who don't seem like they care as much about school, well, they do actually care about being able to finish some things or not feel overwhelmed. And by actually learning these skills and then teaching them to children or, these students, you're actually going to alleviate some stress that maybe that student didn't even know could be alleviated. They just thought that's how it was. And Aaliyah has a lot of experience seeing people in her classes who, are there in school. Maybe they're even paying for school themselves, now that she's in college. But just these basic things, they just never learned. Yeah. And when they see you doing it,
we'll talk about how it's been kind of mind-blowing for some of my friends in classes where everyone's expected to be organized and on top of things, but they never got any lessons on that, or they never got any pointers. And so that's what we're really excited to share about, breaking down the feelings of, that's too hard, or, it's too much work to become organized or find more clarity and peace. It can be something that's really a natural implementation.
And I'm really excited to record this because as you're talking about some of your peers who never received this training, their teachers or other people might judge them as being lazy or procrastinators or, they just aren't taking school seriously. But I don't think that's the case. I think they're just stressed because they don't know what to do. And if you show them how, hey, it's actually not that hard. Here's how you do it. Like, let's get that going. I think they start feeling more empowered, confident, optimistic about their own future. Like, this is going to have ripple effects. I'm thinking right now as we're recording this, as we're about to share it with, thousands and thousands of people out in the world. And then each person who's listening right now, you listening right now, as you maybe forward this podcast on to someone who does have a student, or share this with students in your own home, or, hey, you have maybe you're a teacher and you want to start teaching some of these principles to students. Think about the ripple effect that this can have.
Or even you for your coworkers, your friends, and like, wow, you're really organized with your calendar or whatever. You're like, it's, this new skill I learned, and it's going to be super fun.
So we're going to dive into these 5 specific things that we're sharing today. If you come to learndobecome.com/S4S, that stands for Step for Students, and is the number 4. So S4S, you can find out more about Aaliyah's Step for Students program. We'll have links to everything we're talking about on our show notes page, and this is episode 127. So every episode can be found at learntobecome.com/radio, or you can just type in /episode 127. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. Number one.
Okay, it's using a calendar for recurring events. Now, I used to use a paper calendar when I was in middle school, and life was just, a couple simple projects. But I realized that once I had a job, once I had a lot of other things that needed my attention, an online calendar, a digital calendar worked better for me. And I use Google Calendar, but the biggest thing that's helpful for me is having just my time blocked out so that I know whether or not I can schedule something that day, or I know when I need to be on campus. And Google Calendar is what I use, but Apple calendars and Samsung calendars, they all work wonderful as well.
I did buy you a paper planner one year, and you hardly used it. And that's fine. We just didn't buy it again.
It didn't suit my needs for that.
But Grace did like a paper calendar.
Yeah, she loves planning out her week. But what I found was so nice was at the beginning of the semester when I received my schedule, I was able to create a recurring event for all of my classes and put the time it was at, the room number, and it just appeared on my calendar for every single day I had it during that semester. Mm-hmm. And that way I never once had to think, oh, wait, do I have a class? Or because some people leave that off of their calendars because, oh, yeah, it's just school. I already have that. And then they might accidentally plan a dentist appointment on, a class day or sleep in because they don't think they have class. But when it's super nice that you just open your calendar and it's clearly there, you could even turn off the notifications so you don't get a notification every time you have a class. But I found that with online classes, that's really helpful because sometimes I forget that I have a Zoom meeting starting in 10 minutes. Yeah. But that little alert helps me to get right there.
That's specific to college because someone who's maybe elementary school or middle school or high school, obviously they're not going to be going to specific classes on campus, but they might have recurring events like, I need to, like Spencer plays trumpet. I need to bring my trumpet every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever it is. Or we have like AB days because we have block scheduling. So you could set that up so it's like every other day or something like that.
Yeah. Or even like activities like extracurriculars. If you have basketball practice every week, that was something that they would forget about sometimes because it just wouldn't be on the calendar. It would just be implied.
Right. And so many children have smartphones now, or even just basic phones that have a calendar feature, even if you don't have, internet on your kids' phones, which I recommend not doing that too early. But having some way for them to start learning how to put a recurring event in. And now younger children might need the parent to actually sit down and say, okay, you type that in and here's how you do recurring.
Make sure it's the right time and the right area. Yeah. So it might take a little bit of hand holding, but then it can become something that they can start penciling in like future events. Like for example, I was talking to one of my classmates. We're in an environment and sustainability class, and we have an assignment where we need to do 10 hours of just service cleaning up trash in the area, which I was kind of like, this is a weird assignment. But I found some friends that we were going to clean up together and that we were penciling a time, and I pulled out my phone and just started going through my calendar to see what days would work for me. And she was like, oh my gosh, you are so organized. You have everything organized in your phone. And all I had on my calendar were my classes that were like recurring events. But just the fact that like I had something there, it was visible. I could see whether or not I'd already had like a work meeting or something scheduled.
Your mind can be
calm. My mind was calm, and I knew, okay, yeah, Wednesday at 3 for sure works for me to do this class assignment with you because I don't have anything else scheduled.
Yeah.
So just have the power of seeing your week, whether it's paper, online, whatever. Just seeing your week and seeing what's open, what's not is so helpful for planning, and especially with working in a job and trying to coordinate all those details.
And be reliable, because I can't even tell you, right now we work with a lot of young adults in our local university in a church like capacity. But we'll schedule events, and I need to make sure I send out text reminders because I don't know if they're going to remember. And, about 20% of the time they've forgotten or they have to cancel last minute or something like that. And I get it.
Yeah, and that's just so
it's
overwhelming.
hard for them, too.
Yeah, because when you're thinking in your mind, okay, on Monday night I have to go to the Perrys and I have this event. If it's not written down, that's just circling in their mind.
And we scheduled them 2 months in advance.
Yeah.
So
that's
I just have to know in my mind they probably don't have a calendar set up. So I need to, and I'm sure everyone listening to this has some story where either it was you or someone you love or someone you're working with where you had something scheduled and they said, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. And sometimes we forget something.
Even I forgot the other day that I had a meeting, but it was on my calendar. I got a reminder. But I totally spaced that I had a Zoom meeting, even though
we're human and there's a lot going on. So I think we're not trying to be critical. Nothing we're sharing here is
and I hope it comes across with so much compassion and just the desire to help, because especially with some later examples, it's never judging like, we're better than these people. No. We have better skills. It's like, oh my goodness, like we need to help and like strengthen as much as we can because it's a stressful
Because that person
thing.
probably feels stressed about other things they're missing that are bigger deal than coming to our house.
Yeah.
You know, like if they miss our house, fine. You know, it's not the end of the world. It was a little party. You know, they're going to miss a little bit of apple.
But if
dip
it's
or
your
something.
final or if it's a big homework assignment, that's so stressful. So
okay,
that's calendaring. So that's just my soapbox on
I think
how
that's
much I
great.
love it.
I think it's great.
Okay, and number 2 is planning projects with next actions. And if you are a long time Learn to Become fan, this is very common. Next actions are just the very next actionable step that you can take to complete a project.
And I learned this from David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done. And it was life-changing for me because I always looked at projects and just felt like I had to sit down and do the whole thing.
Yeah, just to get to the end result right away.
Yes, and David Allen showed me, no, you just break it down to the very next action that you could do without feeling overwhelmed. So
Yeah, and so this is where I wanted to share an example from one of my classes. I just transferred universities and I had to take some general classes over again to meet their requirements. And one class was like a beginner English class, and the semester contained 3 big papers that we had to write, and they were all research papers, 10-page papers that needed a lot of thought and a lot of effort. And I wasn't super excited to write those papers, but I knew, okay, I'm going to break it down. First, I spent 5 minutes picking a topic. Then I spent 10 minutes on a couple of different days finding sources, going through my library's online search thing.
And it was really just 10 minutes.
Yeah, like I didn't like the project. I mean,
because it's sounding super doable the way you're talking about.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, okay, I need to use 10 like peer-reviewed sources, and I don't love researching. I'm trying to get better at that. But I said, okay, my teacher taught us how to research, so I can go on our library website. I can find 10 sources, and then I downloaded them all as PDFs because sometimes links don't work. So I just said, okay, I want to make sure I have everything before I even sit down to write this paper. And so I was just thinking in my mind, okay, then I can outline what my paragraphs are going to look like based on what's in these research papers that I found, and then I can start constructing my paragraphs, and I, would write 1 or 2 paragraphs a day, and I spaced it out over a couple weeks until it was due.
Yeah.
And so for me, it felt very doable, even though I didn't enjoy the project per se, but I was able to turn it in. I got a good score, and I was happy with it. But a couple of my people sitting next to me in class, they hadn't even started it the day before it was due. And it was just such a huge project for them because they had never broken down a project like this before. And a lot of them were also very freshmen, their very first college class.
Their stomachs are probably hurting.
Probably,
They're
yeah.
stressed
And so
out.
for me, being a little bit of an older college student coming into a beginner class, I had a little bit more experience. But it was just so sad to see that this is their very first introduction to college, and they're already so overwhelmed that they don't know how to move forward.
Yeah.
And the teachers would try to give suggestions, and she had us do a little parent share where we would each share something that we were struggling with or how we could be better. And I didn't want to say, oh, yeah, well, I already finished it, actually, and I finished it early because I had it planned out.
Yeah, you don't want to seem like...
Yeah, that was such a hard
Yeah.
conversation. And so it ended up being a really good conversation of sharing some best practices, some ideas, and a lot of them were blown away about the idea of next actions. And I said, hey, you could just spend, 5 minutes picking your topic, do this and this, and kind of the process I just explained. But it was like this light bulb went off in their minds, like, wow, like that's actually a really easy way to plan out projects. And so my teacher had me talk about it a little bit in class and just talk about what I did. And so that was kind of a good experience, but also really hard because it was eye-opening, and it was just such a hard way of saying, oh man, if only you had next actions.
Well, and these are students who are actually enrolled in college. So you think about students who maybe are in high school or middle school who are given a paper. So even though you might be thinking, oh, we're just kind of talking about some ideas on a podcast, this actually could change so many lives
Like the course
if this
of
can
their
be taught.
education. Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've had people we love, and I won't say names, but we've had, I'll say one person in particular that we really love, who went to college and then got overwhelmed quickly and then just stopped. Just didn't show up, but didn't tell the teacher, didn't tell anybody, just stopped and got extremely depressed because they didn't know what to do, and they knew it was piling up.
And
but then it felt
didn't
like more
know
and more.
what avenue to turn towards. They just shut down mode.
Right. And so if no one ever reaches out and tries to help, is that person ever going to go look for the help? Are they going to listen to this podcast? I mean, probably not. I don't know. They start feeling like, oh, I'm a loser. I'm not good at this. I just can't do school, or I can't do. And so you teach a simple thing like a next action. And like you were saying, it was like this light bulb. They were listening to you. They cared what you had to say because they had a pain point.
Yeah, and it might have been too late in that one instance to turn that whole paper around and fix it overnight. Yeah. But I think for future projects, that might be something that comes back to them and thinking, okay, well, maybe I could break this down a little bit more, spend a couple weeks on, if we have a 3-month window or maybe a 1-month window to work on this project, what could we do? And I feel like with a lot of high school students, too, they have these huge big projects, and things just pile up. So that's a huge recommendation.
Okay, so next actions.
They're life-changing, yeah. And then the third is creating routines for yourself. And this is something that I wasn't very good at as a younger student, but I realized that there were things that I had to do on a regular basis, whether it was with work. I had some certain things where I was doing refunds every Friday for Learn to Become, and also I had school things where I had to report my attendance online every Tuesday and Thursday between 11:30 and 12:30. Like, it was just crazy with all these routines I was just overwhelmed by, and I knew I couldn't just leave them in my brain. I knew they had to go somewhere, and that's why I loved learning about Asana, the website and the app from my mom. And I was very anti using another app, or I did not want another thing to have to input information into and do all that sort of things. But that was like a life-changing app and experience, because I could just put everything in there and leave it to the calendar and the reminders to do the work.
Yeah. So if you're talking about a student, let's picture someone, and what's the ideal age that you're kind of thinking of as we're talking?
Well, I mean, in my program geared for middle school and high school students, I talk about routines in terms of, what do you have to do each week? Do you have to do your laundry? Do you have to do, certain music practice?
Yeah.
Maybe every 3 months, do you want to go through your closet and, get rid of clothes that are too small or that you don't like anymore? Just kind of like simple routines that students are maybe already doing, but they haven't put a name to them or a category.
Yeah.
And so I encourage students to think about, what do you do every 4 months or every 6 months? What typically happens in your house, or would you like to have happen? And if you could put that on a calendar to schedule that in, but then also have a coordinated list of, okay, this is what I do each day or each week, month, etc.
Okay, awesome. And I mean, Asana is a tool that students could use for sure. There's a free version. You can set up routines.
What I use, yeah.
And so that's fun. And we set it up kind of a little bit differently than Asana tells you to set it up. So they have projects on the left, and then, you put like details below that. We do it more like we'd call a project, Spencer's routines. And then we type in subsections that would say like daily, weekly, monthly, etc. Then below those, we type out what the routine actually is, and then you can click on any of the routines and make it recurring.
Yeah, for every Friday.
And you assign it to yourself and set a date and then a recurring, and then it shows up in their section called My Tasks. So I'm not trying to get like too deep into this, but I just want to give the general. So if your child is more digital, Asana can be great for routines. If your child is more just visual and wants a piece of paper on the wall, you could easily just get a piece of paper and put daily, weekly, monthly, and just have it paper.
And I think there are some great routines resources that we can link on the show notes. They're more geared towards, obviously, adults or people in a business setting per se, but they're really helpful principles that can be applied in any situation.
And then just one final thing, if they're using a Google Calendar or, some other calendar for their actual, projects or tasks or appointments or things like that. Actually, not really projects and tasks on the calendar. If they're appointments, if they're using a calendar for those types of things, you can also create a calendar layer called routines that you could turn on or off. So they don't look at their calendar and see, I need to make my bed and I need to, do all this stuff, because that can feel overwhelming, especially if it's flexible. But if you have a layer saying this is where my body is going to be, and that's a layer, and then you have another layer of routines, then they can, you can switch
reference
on and off
them when needed.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, number 4 is email management. And at first, I was kind of thinking what other point I wanted to add to this podcast. And I thought it was fun because email management has been something funny in our family forever. My youngest brother, he's been taught about keeping an inbox at 0. And
right now, they're not at 0, but when he was like 6th grade, they were.
Yes. Well, it was the funniest thing because he actually got in trouble at school because he was trying to get his inbox to 0 during a different computer activity.
Lab time.
And so they're like, Spencer, that's not the computer activity we're doing. But he was so excited to get his emails to 0. And
he came home. He's like, I got in trouble because I was on the wrong website, but I was getting my emails to 0.
So she's like, okay, there's a time and a place for email organization, but that's awesome. You have the right.
I was secretly super proud, but yeah.
You have to be on task, be focused during school. Well, this is something kind of fun that I've worked with. I recently got married this past summer, and my husband, he hadn't grown up with the same email experience that I had.
Most people don't grow up with the same email
and so,
experience.
he had probably 5 or 6 email accounts that he was using, one for school, one for business, one for work, a lot of email accounts that all had separate inboxes.
And they all had a purpose when he created them.
Yeah, and they're all still important. It wasn't just like random email accounts. And it was really overwhelming because they were all coming from all which ways. It was just really not organized. And we set up a forwarding system so that they would all come to one primary address address, but he could also send emails from those other email addresses. And we also helped him set up filters that would get rid of emails and put them away or in the trash or unsubscribe. And it was kind of funny because when we first were engaged and I was saying, hey, I can help you get your emails inbox to 0, he was not super excited about it. He was like, hey, I'm okay. I'm doing well right now. But once school started and once, professors started sending lots of emails, his boss and other people at work were sending lots of emails, it became a flood of emails all at once while he was busy with projects and assignments and things like that. And then he was like, hey, actually, can we sit down and practice organizing my emails real quick? I was like, of course we can do that. And the biggest thing that was so helpful were mass deleting any promotional emails, but then also creating folders to save emails for later. He had some great recipes that he was keeping in his inbox.
He's such a good cook.
He loves cooking. And so he would keep the recipes in his inbox to know where they were.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, what if we create a recipes folder so that all of them, it's just a filing cabinet. You just put them over there and they're out of the main space. And that was something really brand new because a lot of people don't have email. Maybe I have too many. I probably have.
But he might be worried out of sight, out of mind. That's what most people worry about.
But a lot of times you're not even referencing a lot of those emails in your inbox that are just hanging around.
Coupons,
things like that. And I also emphasize the idea of having a couple sub inboxes. That's what I love having. You can Google how to set up a multiple inboxes for any email provider. I'm not super familiar on all of them.
Gmail, I think, is the one that does
really
it best.
easy.
And you go into settings and you just enable multiple inboxes. Or I think that's a default
there's like
now.
a full tutorial on YouTube. You can always find, and there's probably ideas for other email providers. But I use Gmail, and that's been really helpful. But basically, I like to have next actions and like project emails in one of my sub inboxes because I am part of those like out of sight, out of mind people where I like to know, okay, here's some emails that I'm working on, and that just helps me, but it might not be for everyone.
It's kind of like your cubby system for emails. It's like your
exactly. And then we also, since we're still starting out on our own life and everything, we're making some online purchases and we're having things sent to us. It's if it's the holiday season, we're ordering gifts for people, or even if it's out of that, we wanted to have a place to like track some things and
make sure the packages get
there. They get there. And so since we're not ordering a ton of things, just a few, we have a sub inbox for that where I can track the shipping number and everything's right there. And so just having different inboxes for maybe follow-ups or maybe your immediate action, waiting. So I think, my husband, he named his something way different than I was recommending, but it worked for him and it was the category that he wanted. And so having his inbox cleared and unsubscribing from lots of random subscription emails and then also moving things into designated folders where he could reference them later, as well as the sub inboxes, that just cleared up his inbox, and now he's much more streamlined and super less stressed.
And there's been kind of a love-hate relationship with our emails to 0 system because I have always started our STEP program once people come in with emails to 0 just because I want people to get a quick win and I want them to see how easy it is to get things cleared out but not forget about them. But what we found over the years, because we've literally had like more than 50,000 people come through this, is they said, some people are like, I'm not super stressed about my emails. And I agree. Some people aren't. I just want them to know how to do it. So now, like in our formal STEP program, we have a simple, like a 13-minute video just showing exactly what the whole process looks like. And then you get to check it off just by watching the video. You don't have to actually get the emails to 0. So for people who are getting a little stressed out listening to us, you don't have to do emails to 0. But when Aaliyah teaches this, like in her STEP for Students program, is showing students how to do it.
And I don't teach maybe emails to all the way 0 per se. I just show, hey, here's how you create a folder. Here's how you could do this and that.
Perfect.
And
starter things.
Yeah. So it's saying, hey, if you want to be like my inbox where it is 0, go ahead. But there's no pressure to like completely clear it out and be like.
But this is super important because yesterday we were talking with Dad and we were talking about how students are getting 5 to 7
like professors will send,
and
especially if students are online based, their teachers are sending announcements and grades and all this stuff. And so I even probably get 4 to 5 emails a day, but I used to get 10 to 15 a day just from professors and TAs and everyone.
And with
all
most things online now, even in elementary school, teachers are sending emails all the time. And so,
and when you have a 7-year-old who has a Chromebook from school and doesn't know how to use their emails, like it gets overwhelming.
This is a skill set that is going to make a difference. So, okay, I love it.
Perfect. Okay. And then the final one is about passwords. And this is something that I am not an expert on yet. My mom kind of taught me this little, where did you learn it from?
There's a book called The Organized Mind by Daniel Levitin. And when I read his password idea, it was amazing. So
I've always been the person that unfortunately always used the exact same password for everything, even if it was like bank accounts or like little side shopping accounts. Like it was so bad. I was using the same thing for everything and getting alerts that that might not be the best idea.
Compromise passwords.
Yeah, and I was like, shoot, like, and you'd make a new password and then forget it, and then you'd have a complicated one.
And you reset it.
And every time I logged in, I was setting a new password. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't keep doing this.
How many people are nodding their heads right now? Like me
and
too.
It's funny because my husband and I, we both speak Russian, so his passwords were Russian in English characters, but like it was so complicated. And I was like, hey, can I help you get into an account? And he's like, well, I can't remember my password. I'm like, well, I can't remember mine either. And so we realized we needed a password overhaul because we know that's a mental thing. It's a block.
It's all day.
Yeah, and especially if you have a task and the only thing holding you back from doing that task is that you forgot your password, that just takes time. You're like, I'll do it later.
And then multiple devices all have to log in, and then you don't want them all saved on your Google keychain or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like,
so it's just one of those things where it seems so simple and so just whatever, but it really can be overwhelming in the larger scale and prevent you from being productive. And so do you want to explain what the password hack
so
was?
essentially you come up with a magic sentence that you don't ever like write down or share or put anywhere else. So if somebody hacked through all of your stuff online or whatever, they would never like see it, okay? But you come up with a magic sentence, and then like the one that he used was something like, when Daniel Levitin used it was something about Breaking Bad, the TV show, but he was something like, I really like Breaking Bad or something. But then you use the as you create this magic sentence, you take kind of like an acronym. So you're taking the first letter of each, word, but you also add in like a number and a special character or something like that.
So it's something that like you're always gonna think that sentence in your mind, and so you know, okay, it's the first letter of each word in that sentence plus my favorite number or whatever number and an exclamation mark or an at sign.
And that's your base. But then for every site that you go to, you decide if you want something like, oh, I want the first letter. Like, let's say I'm logging into WordPress to type out my blog. Then I would put like W and then the magic sentence. Or I might do WP and the magic sentence. Or you might do the first letter and the last letter. Or, you come up with something, but so it's every site.
Every site has its own personalized password.
The prefix is personalized.
Or the suffix, whatever you prefer.
Right, you can do prefix.
I prefer suffix.
Okay. So
I type out my magic sentence and my password, and then I have a different ending for every single site.
Okay, so you could figure out what you want to do. But I love that because then I'm like, okay, I'm logging into Asana. I'm going to type in my whatever it is and then my magic sentence. And then no matter if I'm logging in from my phone or my computer or tablet or if I'm at the library and I've got to log in, it's not a big deal.
And I think the ones that we as a business use, as myself, they're all very complicated. Like when you look at them, you're like, what on earth is that password? Like I would never in a million years think to try that one.
Right.
And of course, things still do get
And we
hacked
still reset passwords. We change the magic sentence often, because we're like you just
keep it secure.
Well, and a lot of our software requires you change your password every 3 months. Like we have some software that you just have to change it, and so we created different codes for how we change it.
Yeah, so you could still keep the magic sentence, but then maybe change it to be more like personalized date wise or whenever you're doing that. So just like thinking about that, and there's also a lot of great resources online. People have like password recommendation ideas for creating them. There's a lot of people out there who are like password experts. That's not us by any means.
And there's services that can like work it out for you. So obviously you can depend on you can do what you like. But I think teaching students, they might have 5 passwords. If they have, maybe they have their Canvas or they have a social media account or they have an email and something like that. So even if they have 3 or 4, learning how to do this magic sentence, I promise you it's going to save them so much time and energy. And then also once there is something like you said, you have a library for your school that's online, you have to log into that, right? Using your school ID. And so...
Yeah, and it's nice because my school password is kind of funny. Like, for some reason, the school password needs to be 18 plus characters, which is a huge password. And so I was like, what on earth is this? What am I going to do? So I realized, hey, my magic sentence is X amount of characters, and I have a really easy, like, word I can add to the end of it. And so it's just funny where, like, you have some passwords that are just ridiculous, and they give you these weird, it needs to qualify this many letters and numbers, whatever.
And then if you do need to have a little list somewhere, you can put, you put little clues. This plus the magic sentence, right? Or magic sentence plus this, or
plus
something
this
like
letter,
that.
Or this word, whatever.
Right.
So that way, if I have a spreadsheet, it just says magic sentence plus like the letter G, and it's like that's really strange if someone were to see that, but I know what it means.
Yeah.
So that's kind of random, but that's something my husband and I were working on recently, and I thought, hey, that could be something good to share. Maybe someone else will benefit from that.
No, I think it's great, and I mean, I hope that you can feel the idea here is let's put simple systems in place so that we can alleviate that pressure and that stress.
Mm-hmm.
When I introduced the podcast at the beginning, explain what we do here at Learn to Become, it was helping people overwhelmed by the details of life, which includes things like calendar, passwords, remembering to take their trumpet to school.
It all adds up, yeah.
Right? But we want to give them simple systems. So things like, I mean, as the more I'm learning about neuroscience, which I'm not a neuroscientist, but the more I learn, it's things like these neural pathways. You're just practicing. So right now, your brain is very well wired to know the minute someone says, hey, Aaliyah, can you come to this thing next Thursday? You know right away you're going to go check your calendar. You're going to put it on your calendar. You're not going to forget.
Like right away, yeah.
Because you've got this pattern in place, and it's not stressful, and it's not hard. But sometimes I think when you do have things really organized and life feels like you just push the easy button a little bit, other people might feel like, well, why is everything so easy for you? Like, how are you able to get such good grades? Or how are you, like, so responsible?
Yeah, and I mean, it's not always easy, but it's just there's really good systems in place that help to make sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Because when you're not overwhelmed, it's amazing what you can do.
Seriously.
Okay, I just love you. I love getting ready for she's visiting us today. She lives, about an hour away, but it's so fun to be able to actually sit together. And I just can't tell you how fun it is to now have my adult children doing these things. I think I shared in a shared in a podcast a couple weeks ago how Ethan was talking to his roommates about the microbursts and let's do 10-minute cleanups.
Let's clean up our messy apartment and do some things one at a time. Yeah.
And I would not have expected that from him because as sweet as he is, he just did love organizing or cleaning,
and I think it's fun because all 4 of the kids in our family, like we all do step principles. We're all organized but in very different ways.
Right.
So that's kind of cool to see.
We can tailor it to everyone.
Yeah.
Well, and someone asked us to do a podcast about how it was for you growing up with STEP. If it was too rigid, or if
you were just like super demanding,
crazy. And I mean, we may do a podcast on that at some point. But I think it's not as much that the STEP system makes someone demanding or stressed. It's more like how I would put it into practice.
Yeah.
If I decide to be rigid and demanding and make my kids do everything the way I do it and keep the house perfectly clean, that's kind of more on me. That's not the system.
Yeah.
But
I think when we work together to organize the closets or we work together to plan out the projects when I was stressed about the science fair, like it was very hands-on and very, hey, let's work together. I'm going to show you what I'm doing. And if you want to do that, great.
It's more a tool that we could use, but I wasn't going to.
It was more of like a relationship builder. It wasn't, okay, if you don't have your room perfectly, because like truth be told, I didn't make my bed once my junior year of high school.
Spencer never makes his bed
like not one day. And like it's funny because I was organized in every other aspect of life, but I did not like making my bed.
That's okay.
And so my room didn't look awesome because of that bed. Like everything else was nice, but that bed was just like a tornado. But I found that like when she wasn't demanding, like, okay, everything has to be perfectly pristine and perfectly whatever, it was okay.
Well, and you could do things your own way. And I think the role of a parent isn't to force your kids to have every email to zero and have your calendar perfect. That was never what I did. I didn't micromanage. We would talk about grades. How are grades doing and how are you doing responsibility-wise?
And if we were struggling and we really reached out, like, hey, Mom, I really can't keep on top of my work. I'm struggling. Like, it's hard. That's when we have those conversations, especially. So,
I mean, obviously it's a delicate balance, but I think the more that if you're a parent right now or you're someone who has direct influence with students, if you can learn these skills for yourself and feel that relief, and then your mood is enhanced, your life is running more smoothly, your environment's cleaned up, you're feeling like, hey, I'm on my game. Even if the students in your life are rolling their eyes and saying, oh, man, I can't believe you want me to do this. Yeah. They're secretly going to notice, hey, that actually worked really well for them. Or if they're continuing in their current habits, like, this is not working. Maybe I should try what my parents recommended. Maybe begrudgingly, maybe they don't want to do it, but in the end, it'll work out. Yeah, so okay, that's our encouragement. All right, so do you want to talk a little bit about Step for Students program? Yeah. So this is the program that I created when I was 16 and 17. And so it's a program that comes directly from the mouth of a high school student. And I actually saved a lot of my examples from middle school. And so I pull out my old planners and my binders. And it's a really good look at how to be organized in project planning, homework, organizing your room, digital files. Yeah, it was everything that I was currently doing as a junior and senior in high school. Her Google Drive is beautiful. I just have to say, she organized mine with me. I love it. I just like something that I started doing ever since I had a Gmail account, right? So it's a program that I developed, and
essentially, at first it was, okay, hey, buy this for your students and they'll become organized. And we got some great testimonials from that. Some people really enjoyed that. But some parents found that, my student doesn't really want to watch a video on organizing.
Your brothers did not want to watch
Yeah, and my mom tried to have them go through my program.
They did go through the program.
But they were just not happy. Yeah. And so they zoned out. They probably didn't enjoy it. But now it's kind of a little bit revamped where the content is still the same, but there's challenges and invitations for the student that could be given by a parent or a teacher or a tutor, anyone like that. And so now it's not just Step for Students, go give this to your student. It's Step for Students, the tool for parents to use to encourage their student to be organized, or the teacher or anyone else.
Well, we kind of modeled it after our Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book, but all of our kids learned to read using it. And it was this book that had 100 lessons, and what the parent was going to say was in pink. And then it would tell the parent, now you ask your child to do this, and now you cover up this word, and now you do, and they would have exact instructions. So I would sit down to do a reading lesson, and it took zero brain power from me. It was literally just, hey, we're going to sit together and do a reading lesson.
And so you just read your little script, and then you gave us the activities to learn how to read, and then it wasn't us becoming frustrated. It wasn't, oh, mom's forcing me to read. It was, okay, if I do this, I get to see what the picture is of the sentence I just read. So it was a fun
so
activity.
Easy. I even took it to elementary school, and there was a little girl who was in second grade, way behind in reading, and I sat down with her in the hallway and I did reading lessons with her, and she was getting it so well. So anyway, as we were talking about Step for Students, we're like, what if we made Step for Students more like that?
Because if you have, you might have 10 minutes in your day where you could watch 17, 16-year-old Aaliyah teach you how to break down a project, and then you could print out the worksheet and say, hey, you have that, a project coming up. Can I show you something that I learned? Maybe it could help you. And making it a very non-confrontational, non-threatening thing. And then I also recently came out with a project program for college students. It's called Organized for College, and it's just a few simple videos. It's not as in-depth yet.
They're powerful videos, though.
Yes.
They're simple. There's how many videos?
Right now there's 5, and it's something that I'm excited to add more to in the future. But right now it's just a very simple 5 ideas for college success, and it's something that they're all 5 principles that have changed my college experience, but it's not as in-depth per se as Step for Students, but it's just tailored to a different audience. And I'm excited to
getting
expand
into
that.
A sauna.
Yeah, it's really organizing your a college dorm room, how to organize that, how to the principle of following up. When someone says, "Hey, follow up with me in 2 weeks," or "I'll follow up with you in a week." Yeah, or your landlord says, "Okay, at the end of your lease, come to me for this, and you're like, what on earth? I've never lived on my own before. I've never done this.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of college level things that I've experienced. So
good. Okay.
Very
and they can learn about that.
Yeah, everything's going to be at learntobecome.com/S4S.
And some people think it's learn to become. Everyone I've talked to in the last week types that in. It's not. It's learn, do, D-O, D as in David. Learn, do, become. Or I need D as in discipline. I'm like, what's a word that... Yeah, okay, but doing. learndobecome.com/S4S.
Yeah, number 4. So that's just the link that will have information about both programs and a little background on the programs and everything and all its creation.
But whether you're in the Step for Students program or a STEP program or whatever we're doing here at Learn to Become, Aaliyah is also our Arise manager, which has been so fun because she works on that with me and Eric. But whether you're in a program or you're just participating in the podcast, I hope that what we talked about today can at least give you some good ideas. And you can come to the show notes page. Again, it's at learntobecome.com/episode 127. Just come on in, check and see what we have. Be part of if you go to that page on the episode 127, you'll see how you can connect with us. We have our YouTube channel. Obviously, we have the podcast. We've got a free Facebook group. We've got some free introductory materials. It's so fun. And so we just want to help you to be able to say, okay, what are the simple systems I can learn just a little at a time that can help me to do what matters most? And it's awesome for you, clearly. But then I love it that Aaliyah has tailored it to students because I don't know the lingo and the challenges of today. I mean, I can talk about what I did when I was 13, but I carried a paper planner around. We didn't even have a smartphone.
Yeah.
I didn't even have an email account until I was in college. Do I sound so old?
I know. I'm like, I have never lived without the internet in my life.
So it's so much better coming from her. And the fact that she recorded all these videos when she was still in high school. And now she's added to it, recorded more videos while she's in college. Basically, what you're getting when you join Step for Students is you're getting training on how to teach your student. And then if your student decides to totally ignore you, you're gonna know, at least I did my part, okay? Like, I showed up.
Yeah.
That's helped me so much as a parent to say, at least I have taught them, I have trained them, I have loved them, and now they can figure it out, and it's their life. But I found that all of our children have incorporated at least some of the things we've done. Not everything.
Yeah, and it's even cute. Like in the program, there's been grandparents that go through it just for themselves. Like, they're like, oh, I just liked it. I wanted to learn about organization from from a teenager. I was like, okay, that's very nice. So it's not even just, okay, you have to be a parent, you have to have students. You could be, maybe you're a social worker, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're a therapist. Yeah, maybe you just want to have some organization skills for yourself. I don't know. Yeah. But there's a lot of avenues for that, and it's kind of a fun program to join and be a part of. So,
all right, we love you. Thank you for being here at Learn to Become. Any final words of encouragement?
You got this. Yeah.
All right. Have an amazing day. Again, come visit our show notes page where we will have everything linked. LearnDoBecome.com/episode 127. Okay, take care. We'll see you soon at Learn to Become.